Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests are actor, playwright Michael Kearns and actor-comedian Jordan Roberts. Actor, writer, director, teacher, producer, father of Catherine, Michael Kearns was brought up in Missouri in a very sheltered environment. You were in a very sheltered environment, weren't you?
I don't know about that. It was a strange environment.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it.
It seemed like it was
one word.
For the past 40 years in Hollywood, he's juggled a career in film and TV, and he'll tell us about his latest play, Bang Bang, which is being performed at the Highways Performance Space. And tell me, let's talk about that. I called it sheltered because when I was reading your bio, it seemed very sheltered.
Well, no, I had 2 of those parents who probably were not the best candidates for the role of parents.
Oh.
Interesting people, and the further away I get from childhood and from them, as it were, they both are deceased, but the more I sort of appreciate them as character. If they were characters in a book, I would love them, but they didn't necessarily want them to be your parents.
But for your own parents, it was a little different. But you had this high school experiences and how that influenced your path and your career. What was going on in high school?
Well, in high school, one thing which I think maybe you're referring to is I had a really strong teacher who sort of took me under his wing, and all this controversy, which I understand exists now, this couldn't happen in today's environment because he would be accused of all sorts of things. Of course, it was completely innocent.
Taking you under his wing, you mean?
Yeah, and really nurturing me and helping me decide what school to go to. And he really taught me how to act in high school, which was sort of an amazing thing.
Actually acting.
And then he suggested and recommended me to go to Goodman School of Drama, which was where he had gone.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, so
that was in Minneapolis?
That was in Chicago.
Oh, it was in Chicago,
Part of the Art Institute.
Oh, Goodman, right.
Right.
Fantastic, right?
Fantastic, especially then. I mean, it was kind of at its heyday in the late 60s, and then, it sort of splintered off and went to DePaul and to different colleges. So it still exists, and they still do good work. But it doesn't have that cohesiveness that it had when it was part of the Art Institute.
It doesn't have a new building? It's
no,
not a new
really.
building?
They've gone,
Oh, they've outbranched.
Sprinkled out.
I see. But you had good training there.
I had great training, and, I thank my whatever for that traying, because people these days, they go to acting class for 6 weeks and think that they're an actor. I mean, it's hilarious. They're after 6 weeks in acting class, they're supposed to be starring on Grey's Anatomy, and
like,
the
why don't
problem
I have
is
the
that
role?
sometimes it happens.
Right. So you followed this activist kind of path all through your life, really, through TV and film, and you talk about it being mainstream now, but you were like really pushing as you were coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've always been sort of slightly under the mainstream meter. However, I've done mainstream things. I did a lot of mainstream television, and now I'm not I think I'm sort of over the mainstream in
Well,
that I
how
don't
do we
care as much.
differentiate? Yeah, how do we differentiate? Because
With the mainstream, you make money.
that's how we differentiate.
When you're not in the mainstream, you're doing art and you're not making money.
Okay, that's a good way to say it, because I was thinking, like, what is mainstream, right?
Well, what is it now?
Exactly.
Because now everything is so extreme and so,
I
you know, that
And
it
you don't
is
wanna
hard
be-
to define it.
You don't want to be mainstream.
That's right.
You want to be a
exactly.
little bit off, a
Yeah.
little edge, or a little bit.
I don't want to be mainstream. I mean, you know.
Except I see. That was a very good explanation of differentiate. You're very proud of Catherine. I want to talk about Catherine. She went
Good.
to a great art school.
Well, she
Idlewild.
went to Idlewild Arts for her junior and senior year in high school, and this is a kid who, you know, came into the world a crack baby basically, and was addicted to crack cocaine as a baby, and was in an incubator, and you know, everything stacked against her in terms of how she would proceed in life.
And this is one of the things that I wanted to bring to the forefront as far as your being an activist. This was a person that you adopted. And at the time, how could a single parent adopt a child? It was very difficult. Because what is she, 20 years
She's
old
20,
now?
exactly. Well, it was very difficult, and also keep in mind I was HIV positive.
Oh, you were
So it was-
besides?
yeah, so it was
And
next
besides
to-
being gay. So you are a gay, single father.
I had everything going against me. And one of the things that was most going against me, though, in the paradigm of adoption and the circumstances, was the fact that I was white. Because black families, at least that was
At the
thrown at
time.
me at the time. Yeah, keep in mind, 20 years ago does not seem that long ago, but it's a long time ago in terms of things like adoption. And well, of course, now we have Jeb Bush and some of these idiots, of course, saying that, you know, that children have to be raised with two parents. That's been successful. Right?
Look
There's
at
a lot
it.
of success stories
I know.
about people being
We
raised by two
can't
parents.
talk about that. All we can talk about is raising a child with love and care.
Period.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
No matter if you're
attention,
5 parents or 2 of the
or one
same or
parent.
one blah, 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 blah,
Who
blah.
cares?
Exactly.
If
I mean,
you know
I'm
how
with
to
you.
love,
I'm with
if
you.
you know how to love, no, I know you are. But so.
So this
you know,
was
you
how'd
nurture
you get
her-
the baby then?
Well, I had.
It was a private adoption, obviously.
No,
Oh,
no,
it wasn't?
no. Actually, I was trying to do a private adoption. I had done everything. I mean, I had done everything you could possibly do. And then finally, I wound up in the system of the LA foster care.
Oh.
And then she moved. This was the strategy, which had, you know, there were many strategies at play while I was doing this, but this one worked, was that she moved from a foster care child to an adopted.
Oh, because that's when you could do that.
Yeah,
So you
that's
brought
when
her
you could
in
do
as a
that.
foster child.
With my fingers crossed and waiting
Hoping.
for 2 years while the family then decided they wanted her. Of course, they didn't want her for the first year.
Oh,
of
she
her life.
had to go into somebody
then-
else's home. Then you had to wait.
No. She stayed with me.
She stayed
They
with
tried
you.
to get her. They could never get her. I mean, they could never prove what they tried to prove, which was that I was unfit. They could never prove that.
No.
That was not provable.
No, not from my Michael.
That's right, Joan.
And Michael, you've written this blog, which I think is so great. I'm not black. I am
yeah.
not black.
Yeah, I wrote. It's actually one piece. Yeah, I don't blog a lot, but I do occasionally.
But it's interesting.
Well, I wrote about it because I'm not, and you know, to try to understand the issues in Ferguson and all the stuff that's happened in the past year or so. This has brought up a lot of lively, healthy discussions between my daughter and me because
right.
she is black and I am not black, and I can understand certain aspects of someone's life who is different than, because, you know, of being gay, but I can't understand. I can understand it and intellectualize it and read books about it, but I don't know what it's like to be in black skin every day.
No, but even though you've got her there and you're living with her and she's your daughter, did you ever have a partner who was with you that
No, I've
helped
had
raise?
a lot of close friends. Oh, I thought you meant anyone
ra-
else
to help
black.
raise?
No, well, I've had a lot of people have actually helped.
But I mean,
from
nobody
the
living
no
with
partner,
you.
No.
I see that
But
one.
I've had a lot of extended
Oh, yeah.
family people who've
Yeah.
been with me and her from the get-go.
So that's great.
And I set that up before. You know,
so that
knowing
they would know.
that anything can happen to any parent at any time.
Right.
So
right.
I had that set up that
Right.
you know she.
And that's
be
the one
cared for.
problem with a single parent.
Absolutely.
You need this background. Okay, get to Bang Bang.
Oh, Bang Bang
Because
Bang
Bang
Bang.
That's your
That's my
newest
baby
thing.
now, my new baby. It's being done at Highways, and Bang Bang is about a lot of things, but it's sort of about the, not sort of about, it is about the glamorization and the sexualization of guns and how this country, you know, seems to be so prone to this gun violence and, you know, the NRA, and we're not going to give up our guns and our guns and our guns.
Why did you get so interested in this?
You know, it started, you know, I've done a lot of solo work, and I've done a lot of solo monologues.
Single person
Yeah, single
plays?
person shows. So at some point I was reading the testimony of one of the firefighters at Sandy Hook, I believe. And that testimony read like a monologue. I mean, it was like, oh my God, you know, and they had such drama and passion. He was going in to save certain kids while another room had the dead
and the guns
kids.
were there, right?
And he would, so that did it. And also, you know, now I look at things as a parent.
I was going to say, as a father.
As a father, I read these articles. So it started with that germ, and then it just built and built and built and built. And then I put in different characters, and then I
So
decided
who's
not
acting
to do
in
it.
it? Oh.
Yeah, I'm not acting in it.
You're not, why aren't you acting in it?
I wanted to be the playwright.
Are you directing?
No, I'm not directing either. Mark Bringleson is directing. So he's a theater director of very high repute in Los Angeles. And so it gives me a chance to be more of a collaborator in terms of working with the director and seeing it unfold with the actors.
The consequences of Bang Bang, of guns, affects all of us.
That's right, and we should
In all
know that.
different ways, right?
One person gets killed by a gun, and the repercussions of that spill out in so many respects.
And do you address that?
You know, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have like a mother who loses her daughter and husband, and yeah, it goes all over the place.
Is it like something that you can, is it wrenching? Is it a wrenching situation to sit in the theater like this and listen to it? Is.
I make you wrench.
You do.
That's my job.
That's your job,
I
okay.
think it is the job of the theater, because where is it going to be done on television? Is it going to be done on...
No, you're right.
The theater is the last bastion of a place to tell the truth.
And the other thing about saying that, you created this incubator at Skylight Theater.
With Tony Abetamarco.
With Tony Abetamarco.
And Gary Grossman.
And Gary Grossman, and you worked with Martin Katselas. I mean,
Milton.
Milton.
Well,
Milton.
he was not there by the time. But
No,
I did
but
know
you
Milton.
did work with Milton.
Prior.
But incubator gives that voice to new playwrights,
That's
right?
right. One of the only places in Los Angeles, Skylight nurtures, takes the playwright from a reading to potentially then the next step of a workshop, then potentially the next step to a production.
And you're involved in all
Yes,
of that,
I'm
and you
involved in getting
actually
those
set
on.
that up. You also teach, Tony Abetamarco teaches drama at Art Division, which was founded by this
Dan
great
McClure.
artist, Dan McClure.
You have some of his...
He did a portrait of me.
Wow.
I love Dan McClure. He's
Brilliant.
so great.
So brilliant.
But Dan is into teaching and educating
And
these
giving back.
young people, and you teach there too.
Yes, I'm not presently, but I have taught writing
Right.
to those kids because...
Which gives them a well-rounded.
Well, also, they need to know how to express themselves about their art. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
They need to get into colleges, and
Right.
so they need to be able to look at their art and somehow contextualize it in a bigger picture, say what their artistic mission is, and sometimes they don't have the words for that because these are kids who are like brilliantly artistically inclined, but not necessarily language inclined. It's
No.
often English is their second language.
Right.
So they have challenges that require a
And they
writing
also
teacher.
and they also come from very low income families.
That's
they
right.
they had no education
They're not
prior
getting
to this,
tutors, and
Right,
people come,
right,
even though they absolutely deserve them.
like your daughter.
Yes.
But that's what happens when you take over something and you make a better life for someone. And
Well,
you've
that's-
made a better life
Well, thank
for,
you.
I think,
you.
a wonderful young woman. and for these people at Art Division, and for us, if we're going to go to the theater.
That's right, and even wrench.
And wrench. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Joan. It's been great.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with Jordan Roberts. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping at the Hollywood Museum, and I'm with actor, comedian, producer Jordan Roberts, who was raised in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. She trained in the Meisner Studio and the Groundlings, and you've seen her on TV and on the big screen as well. She's been in the theater. She's played all kinds of roles. She's served at Women in Film and the Independent Feature Project. We'll ask her about that. And I understand you have 100 celebrity voices in your mouth.
I do. I'm going completely crazy in this museum. Seriously.
Are they going nuts?
They are. It's Betty Davis. My God, all the dead ones. They're just like, swilling like a tornado inside of me.
This is very funny, though, because the museum is great, isn't it? And there's all these old stars, and there's pictures of stars. When you go up to them, do you start talking in their voice?
I should go behind and just scare the crap out of whoever's in it.
I think we're going to hire you to do that.
We'll do like a prank show.
Come to the Hollywood Museum and watch Jordan, the voice of 100 celebrities. But how did you actually get 100 celebrities in your mouth?
It was crazy. As a kid, I would cassette tape Dallas and Dynasty.
Oh.
It was crazy. And I would do all the scenes for my parents' parties when I was a kid.
In Bloomfield Hills.
That's right.
Because I was going to say, you came from such a shishi neighborhood. Were there actors there? Did anyone want to really go into the theater?
Elizabeth Berkley came from there.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
You mean from your shishi neighborhood?
A little bit. Yeah. But it was.
So how did it start? There you were, I guess, in the living room doing plays?
Yeah, for my family. And it was so fun too. And then Joan Rivers would interview all these soap stars. So I would cassette tape them. Oh. So then I would come up with Joan Rivers. Then I'd have Joan Rivers interviewing the people in front of the people at the parties. Oh. And then I started doing stand-up comedy of Joan Rivers interacting with Bette Midler or Barbra Streisand. And then it started to become these famous icons that I would do, not just the... But I have a
so
really
you
good
were
ear.
on stage? Oh, and it's a really good ear.
A really good ear and a really good memory. Like, for fun, we bought season 3 of Dynasty on iTunes. I knew all the Linda Evans, Joan Collins and Heather Locklear lines.
You remembered them all?
Yeah, still. It's like, if that could leave my brain, I can't even imagine what great things I could have done in this world.
If I were, could be a doctor, the research specialist, but no, you have to be 100 voices.
Right.
Is there any show business in your family?
A little bit. Jeanette MacDonald, who's here in this museum.
She's the singer and the actress. Yeah. How is she related?
She did about 100 movies. Clark Gable.
I thought she was going to say she's about 100 years old. She's more than that.
Yeah, she's on my mom's side.
Oh,
and my
she
mom
is?
was at the Wax Museum, and she couldn't believe it because she looked
Your mom wasn't in the Wax Museum, was she? She was there.
She was a visitor.
Okay.
And she saw Jeanette MacDonald, and she was like, that's my mother. She was so freaked out because she looked so much like her mom.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, so she's
she's
from
my
your mother's
fourth
side?
cousin. My mom's
Oh,
third
wow.
cousin, so her mom's second cousin.
So here you are. You were acting in your living room, and then you continued to act.
Yeah.
You took acting lessons. Where'd you, Meisner?
Right. Yeah, Strasbourg, when I came out here, I did radio too. I was on the Dick Burton morning radio show in Detroit for 3 years.
What were you, a host?
I did celebrity voices, so we do these comedy
you
bits
did?
based on news events. So whatever was going on in the news, Madonna,
You're kidding.
Bette Midler,
And
Barbara
you would just
Walters.
be the person?
I would do improv, or I would write scripts. So at a very young age in high school, I'm writing these unbelievable scripts. I remember the Jackson family was fighting all the time, Michael Jackson. And so I remember I called in as Joan Rivers, and I said, this is horrible. They're fighting. There's, and so he said, well, you know what? Food fights. I said, well, there's food fights. Can we talk here? The Jackson family is having food fights. And he goes, really? Well, that's
Joan
okay
Rivers.
from time to time. I said, yes, but with canned goods. Oh, can we talk here? So we would do all sorts of fun.
Very good,
Yeah.
Joan Rivers. They must have liked that one.
Yeah, and
That was on all the
Whoopi
time.
Goldberg was fun too.
Was she good?
Yeah, I could get away with her because I was not on camera, but But I remember
Oh,
I did
right.
her in stand-up comedy. I was 23 years old, and I went to the Baker's Keyboard Lounge in downtown Detroit, and I did her. Oh my God, that was not a good idea. This white girl with blonde hair at the time. I mean,
That's great. So tell me the difference, though, between the Meisner, Strasberg, and the Groundlings.
well, I started with Strasberg, and it's very, very physical.
Oh,
You're building and creating everything before you go on stage, and it's a tremendous amount of work. I think it's too much work, and there are a lot of pitfalls. I think that if you miss something or you don't do that, and a lot of actors don't have that kind of time.
so you
to do that.
depend on those things that you're creating before
Yeah, you're
you
building
go
your
on.
whole
I see,
entire
right, I got it.
imaginary set, everything, and
I
it's
see.
just too much. With Meisner, which was the best, and that's what really changed, and when I started really working and getting roles, it's basically taking your heart and your soul of whatever anything means to you, and putting yourself in those given imaginary circumstances, but working from something real that is of equal weight and value to what
That
that
you
is.
feel, that you feel yourself.
Right, right. So I can cry in command because of that.
I know. I don't know how anybody does that. But
Yeah.
but you have to think of something from inside, right?
Right. Well, see, the thing is, if the teacher's asking you something to try to make you cry, and you say, "Well, I don't know," but we all know. Anytime someone asks us something, we really know.
But we don't want to say it, or we don't want to go
We
for it.
don't know that we know.
Oh,
we
I
don't
see.
take
That's
that
what I
minute to
wanted.
dig deep enough within ourselves.
Right.
You know.
I see.
Meryl does. Jeffrey Rush does.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
know,
Oh,
the
he's
really
so
good actors
great.
take
Yeah,
that
you
minute
can
and
feel-
they think
But,
about
and
it.
then Groundlings, that's like stand-up. That's not taking anything,
Stand-up was
is it?
easy compared to the Groundlings, believe me. Groundlings is really, really challenging.
Oh.
It's
I always think of that as stand-up.
I've never done anything harder in my life. It's just really, I took that class, and then I was surprised that I actually moved up in the program when I first did it.
Yeah.
But when I did level 1, I thought, oh my God, this is the hardest thing ever, and they moved me up. And a lot of people don't get moved up their first time through, and I took it because I wanted to be able to take direction on set perfectly, if I could. Where nothing could get in my way.
But what were you intending to do? Were you intending to continue acting? Or because I know you've gone into producing and directing.
Right, right. Well, acting is my love. That's the thing I do the best. But I am producing. And I'm doing a lot of my own projects now, so I can act in them.
So you got involved with Keith Ferrazzi.
Yes.
And what, was he at Starwood?
He
at
was the CMO of Starwood. In fact, he created the the preferred guest program there.
Oh,
He's a
which is
brilliant,
great.
Brilliant CMO there.
So why were you with him? Were you producing for him?
I
Were
was
you-
his producer, yes.
Oh, you
And
were?
He's a brilliant man. He's I'd say one of the most connected men in the world. He is the author of Never Eat Alone, best-selling author
Oh,
of Who's
right.
Got Your Back.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But why would he need a producer?
He has a couple of different television shows that we've been developing. I got him a development deal with ITV.
Oh.
So we did that. And I also helped build his speaking business, and I work with him on his nonprofit. He has a fantastic nonprofit, which was called Big Task Weekend, and now it's called Greenlight Giving. And it's incredible. We would take Fortune 100 companies, and we would create joint initiatives to improve global health and wellness and
great.
social responsibility.
That's great. And so
Yeah.
you had all those connections. He had all those connections.
Right.
You brought them all together?
Right.
Very, very good. And did that lead into White Rabbit, which you produced? And which I think is very interesting because it's another socially active
Yes.
piece of work.
Yes, I was bullied, and that's why I wanted to do that movie. White Rabbit is about a high school shooter in the making and the devastating effects of teen bullying. So
So tell us the story.
Yeah.
It's not a documentary.
it's a feature film with really big stars. We've got the new face of Disney's in it. You don't know her yet, but she's coming out in Tomorrowland with George Clooney. So she's pretty amazing.
Who is she?
Her name's Britt Robertson. She was in Cake with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, right.
Jennifer got
Oh.
nominated for a
I
Golden
saw
Globe.
that movie. Yeah.
She made the cake.
Oh, she was
pretty
the one?
who stole. Yeah, that's. that's the
Oh, so
one.
there you are. Okay, so tell us about White Rabbit a little bit more.
Yeah. So
Who wrote it?
Anthony DiPietro. He's brilliant. He basically he researched what most high school shooters have in common, and then he created that kind of a character. And Nick Crosby was absolutely brilliant. Did you see him in The Descendants with George Clooney?
Yes, yes.
See, I love him because, and you know, he's now going to UBC, doing improv, but this is an actor. You know, the best actors can do like the Whoopi Goldberg or the Bette Midler or this guy. You can be this whack job goofball 1 minute, and then you can just be crying and your guts coming out the next. And Nick Crosby can do both. He's
in your play. He's in your movie.
So proud of his work in that film. He's so good.
And so who directed it?
Oh, Brian McCann, and fabulous, fabulous director. You know, I wish he could have come out here when we had the red carpet. He's amazing.
So tell us a little bit about it then.
Well, it follows Harlan, and it shows basically a high school shooter. Most of them have four components. One is that they are a victim of bullying.
Oh, that's where bullying comes in.
Right.
Okay.
Mental illness.
Right.
But you know what? 99% of people with mental illness are not violent.
And they were bullied, right. So you think it all goes back to being bullied.
I do. And then parental neglect.
That's another
aspect. And then
aspect.
access to guns.
The worst.
Right.
The worst.
And we have parents who hunt, and you know, it's just.
So this is really, as we say, has a social message, and you are involved in philanthropic.
Right. Barbara Lazaroff, who was created with the Wolfgang Puck brand, pretty much, brilliant woman.
Yeah,
she's a
Barbara
dear friend.
is great.
And she and I, you know, we went on this cruise, the Summit at Sea. I don't know if you've heard of the Summit series, but it's really an amazing get-together of the creme de la creme of just anybody.
Did you perform?
I didn't. Pete Ferrazzi spoke there.
Oh,
he was
did he?
amazing. Yes, yes. And she was saying, you know, she gives so much. She's one of the biggest philanthropists I know. She's raised tens of millions of dollars for charity in her lifetime. And she does so much globally. But she said, you know, and this was during the time when Haiti, we were having the problems.
Oh, right.
And she says, you know, Americans, though, we need to be helping Americans. So she and I are doing a TV show called In Our Own Backyards. And it's about creating community in America.
So is there a series of that? Would there be a series, different ideas in your own backyard?
Well,
will there be different subject matter?
It's a competition elimination show. And,
it is.
Yes,
I see.
So we're taking that out right now under our company Philanthropic. And Philanthropic, we are looking for projects, and we're producing and creating projects that are mainstream, like a mainstream movie that is socially conscious. A good example would be Still Alice. Did you see that about Alzheimer's with Julianne Moore?
Yes.
So finding a film like that.
But not really documentaries.
Not a
to make a
documentary.
feature film.
Right. You think about the studios like Rain Man.
Right.
They made hundreds of millions of dollars. Did they do anything for autism? Did they raise any money for autism?
But did they raise awareness?
They did raise some awareness.
Yes. So there's awareness raising aspect of this too.
But Philanthropic wants to do that next step. So what we're doing is we're partnering
for
with
the
brands.
thing. I see.
And like with White Rabbit, we're raising money. We're going across the country through the rest of the year with screenings of our movie, and we're raising money for Variety, the children's charity, and anti-bullying charities. We call it our anti-bullying 10-city tour.
That's fabulous.
Yes.
Because so much attention is brought now to bullying, and nobody ever used to talk about it.
Right. I was ashamed. You know, when my friends now on Facebook see I did this movie, they're like, "You were bullied." They said, "Why didn't you tell us?" I said, "Well, when I moved back to Michigan, I didn't want anybody to know that I was, in my mind, thinking I was this loser there or something."
Oh,
you
right.
know?
When you're
because
bullied,
then
you
I would
think
be a loser again, or then they'd know the truth that I could be bullied. So it's a shame.
But
People
how
are
does it
ashamed.
happen? How does it happen?
It's just, I think it's a parent problem, an adult problem. It's not a kid problem. And I think that, you think about it, how many men bully their wives? How many wives bully their husbands?
In the same respect, you're not even thinking about it, but it's happening.
Right. And I wish my mom, who was really great, by the way, she would go to the schools, she'd talk to other students, but I wish she would have said to me, and what do you think that other kid is going through that they have to act like that? Because that might have made me take a minute and go, oh, it really isn't me. you know?
Maybe that is the thing, to always think about why that person is doing it, what the problem is. Well, you've really enlightened us today, even though you didn't use 100 voices. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com.